There comes a time in life when the noise around us fades just enough that we begin to hear something else, something quieter, something older. Maybe it happens after retirement. Maybe it comes during a quiet morning alone in the kitchen. Or maybe it sneaks up during a phone call with someone you love. And suddenly you're not sure if the ache in your chest is from now or from long ago. It's a strange kind of grief, not for someone you lost, but for someone you used to be. You think to yourself, I've lived so much. I've carried people. I've survived things I never thought I would. And yet, there's still a piece of me that feels unfinished, still tender, still reaching. That feeling isn't weakness. It's not regret. It's your inner child, not the childish version of you, not the one who threw tantrums or made mistakes. I'm talking about the small, sacred part of your spirit that was open, feeling alive. The part that was once innocent enough to dream without fear and love without hesitation. That child is still inside of you. And sometimes they need you more than ever. Today, I want to walk with you through 7 signs that your inner child is still waiting. Not to hold you back, but to bring you forward in a way that feels more whole, more real, more at peace. If something stirs in you while you listen, trust it. That's not weakness. That's healing, waking up. Sign 1, you struggle to show yourself compassion. You've spent a lifetime being strong, showing up, doing the hard things. There were days when you had no choice. You couldn't fall apart because people were counting on you. And so you became the rock, the one who kept going, the one who held everything together even when you were quietly falling apart inside. But here's what often gets lost along the way. When we learn how to survive, we forget how to be soft with ourselves. You might notice now in your quiet moments that you speak to yourself harshly. You call yourself lazy for needing rest. You criticize yourself for things that happened years ago. You carry shame that doesn't even belong to you. And deep down, there is a part of you still hoping for comfort. For understanding, that's your inner child, the one who was never told it's okay to cry, the one who wasn't allowed to be sad, the one who had to grow up too fast. Compassion is not indulgence. It is medicine. Your healing begins the moment you start speaking to yourself, not with judgment, but with tenderness. When you say, it's okay that I'm tired, it's okay that I didn't know better then. I am still worthy of love, especially from myself. Sign 2, certain memories still bring you to tears or silence. Sometimes we think time should heal all things, and yet a single smell, a song, or a phrase can take us right back to a moment we thought we left behind. A room where someone raised their voice, a school hallway where we felt invisible, a moment when someone we loved chose not to love us back. And when that memory arrives, it doesn't just pass through our mind, it settles into the body. We feel the sting in our chest, the lump in our throat, the heat behind our eyes. And often we feel shame that it still hurts. But what if that pain isn't a sign of failure? What if it's a sign that something inside us is finally ready to heal? Your inner child holds on to those moments, not because they enjoy suffering, but because those were the moments they needed you most, not the version of you that powered through. The version of you that sits down beside them and says, that wasn't fair. You didn't deserve that. And you are allowed to feel this now. You don't have to rewrite your past, but you can revisit it with love, because sometimes tears aren't a breakdown. They're a release, a sacred remembering. Sign 3, you feel unworthy of joy or peace. There's a strange thing that happens when we've spent years putting others first. We learn to make space for their happiness, their success, their dreams. But when it comes to our own joy, we hesitate. We pull back. We hear a quiet voice saying, not you, not yet, maybe someday. And sometimes that someday never comes. because we've been taught that joy is a reward, something you get after you've worked hard enough, something you earn. But your inner child doesn't care about rules like that. They remember how it felt to laugh without needing a reason, to run for the sheer joy of movement, to sit in a sunbeam and feel like everything was okay. If joy feels out of reach, it's not because you are too old. It's because a younger version of you never believed they deserved it. And now they still need convincing. Let them know this. Joy isn't a prize. Peace isn't something you wait for. They are yours now, not because you've done everything right, but because you are alive. And life, even in its quietest moments, is full of small and holy invitations to feel good again. Sign 4, you struggle with trust or fear intimacy. You've learned how to protect your heart. Maybe you became the one who always gives but never receives. Maybe you keep people at a distance. Maybe even now, after years of love and connection, you still carry a quiet fear that one day it could all be taken away. That's not because you're cold. It's because the child in you remembers what it felt like to need someone and be let down. They remember promises that weren't kept, hugs that were missing, love that came with conditions. And so your heart built walls, not to keep people out, but to keep you safe. But now you're no longer that small child. Now you have wisdom, discernment, choice. You can still be careful, but you don't have to be closed. Healing comes when you gently let someone in, when you let yourself be seen, not for what you do, but for who you are, when you trust not blindly, but bravely. And you tell your inner child, I know it was scary then, but we're not alone anymore. We're not unworthy. We're not too much. We are loved and we are safe. Sign 5, you often feel lost even with a full life. You look around and you see a life built with care, people you have helped, memories you've made. Yet there are days when the silence feels louder than usual. And you ask yourself, why do I feel so empty? That emptiness is not selfishness. It's not ingratitude. It's a signal, a quiet whisper from your younger self asking, when will you come back for me? When will you remember what I dreamed about? When will you ask what makes me feel alive? You see, we were taught to be useful, to be needed, to keep going. But no one told us how to return to ourselves once the world stopped needing us so much. Your inner child still lives within you, not in the past, but in the present. And they are inviting you back into wonder, back into curiosity, back into the parts of yourself that were never meant to be buried under duty. Go for a walk with no destination. Sing even if no one's listening. Make something with your hands. Sit in the grass, not because it's productive, but because it's yours. You are not lost. You are simply being called back to the parts of you that the world asked you to leave behind. Sign 6, you still seek external validation. You do something kind, and deep down you hope someone sees it. You achieve something meaningful, and quietly wish someone would say, I'm proud of you. That desire isn't shallow, it's sacred. It's a longing to be witnessed, to be affirmed, to be loved openly. But if you've spent years without that kind of affirmation, your inner child begins to believe they have to earn love, that they have to be good enough, impressive enough, quiet enough. And even now, as an adult, you might catch yourself chasing approval that never satisfies. The healing begins when you become the one who notices, the one who praises, the one who says to your own reflection, I see how hard you're trying. I know how far you've come, and I love who you are becoming. It's not vanity. It's parenting your inner child with tenderness. It's reteaching yourself what you should have always known, that your worth isn't based on who claps for you. It's in the quiet truth of your being. Sign 7, you long for simple joys but feel guilty pursuing them. You see a child dancing in the park and Something inside you aches, not in envy, but in recognition. You remember what it felt like to be that free. You pass by a shelf of paintbrushes or books or instruments and your hands almost reach, but then you stop yourself. You think, that's not for me. That's for someone younger, someone freer, someone else. That's your inner child asking for a second chance, asking for joy without shame, asking for creativity without expectation. So many of us were taught to value discipline over delight. We were told to grow up, be responsible, stop dreaming, but we were never told how to return to joy once the work was done. You have permission now, not just because you've earned it, but because you never needed permission to begin with. Dance in the kitchen, sing off key, wear colors that make you smile, eat dessert first sometimes, not because it fixes everything, but because it reminds you that life is still worth savoring. Final chapter, coming home to the child within. There is a version of you, 5 years old, maybe 10, still living inside you. They are not stuck. They are waiting, waiting for you to stop running, waiting for you to sit down beside them and say, I remember you. You have spent years being strong, being needed, being reliable. Now it's time to be whole. If this spoke to you, I'd love for you to be part of this growing community. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. This space is for healing, for reflection, for real connection. Thank you for being here.